Good morning, everyone. This is Archbishop Richard Gagnon here speaking to you from the Catholic Center in downtown Winnipeg. This is our Friday morning report, so thank you very much for joining us this morning. So I think first of all, as we approach Holy Week, Passion Sunday or Palm Sunday is on the 28th of March, and then we begin Holy Week, and then Easter follows that, of course. And this year at the Cathedral, and hopefully in most of our parishes, we will have our Holy Week celebrations. The first thing I just want to say is that the various masses, the various services like Good Friday will be held, but they'll be a little different than normal. The congregation will be smaller. They will be live streamed from the Cathedral, and some aspects of the services and the masses will be more simplified, simply to keep to the guidelines that we've received from the Vatican. So anyways, just want to mention that we are approaching Easter time, and that's a wonderful time of the year. Last year we were not able to do the Holy Week celebrations, but this year we are, so we're very grateful for that. Another aspect of the protocols for Manitoba is that we can have in our parishes, in our halls, facilities, opportunities for gathering young people for catechism, providing that they obey the 25% rule of the floor space of the particular facility, or 100 people, whatever is less. And so that's another positive thing. And I know that it's been a challenge this year in our parish communities to enable, to facilitate our young people in the catechism classes in preparation for confirmation. So we do have that possibility now, and I've also communicated that to the Archdiocese. So that's another positive thing. Also, today is the Solemnity of St. Joseph, and this is the year of St. Joseph, but also on this 19th of March, we begin a year of the family, Amoris Laetitia. And on Friday, which is today, at 5:30 in the afternoon, I will be celebrating Mass at St. Peter's Parish. I will mark the year of St. Joseph, but also inaugurate the year of the family, Amoris Laetitia. And St. Peter's Parish is hosting that. They have a particular program for the year of the family, and this kicks that program off, but also it begins the year of the family in the Archdiocese, which goes all the way until next June. We have a committee in the Archdiocese working on various activities for the Year of the Family, and we're looking forward to hearing from them about the various activities for the Year of the Family, as we do also for the Year of St. Joseph. And we have beautiful cards printed up this year for the Year of St. Joseph that have the theme of a special window at the Cathedral, St. Mary's Cathedral in downtown Winnipeg, that was dedicated to St. Joseph, the patron of the Archdiocese of Winnipeg. So that's a positive thing. On a less positive note, as of Thursday, royal assent was given to the new MAID legislation in Canada, Bill C7. It's another descent down the slippery slope of disregard for the sanctity of human life in Canada. It's unfortunate. And I think the great danger here is that we become accustomed to these changes in our civil legislation regarding the sanctity of life, which is an unconditional right. The right to life is unconditional, be it babies in the womb or people at the other end of life, towards the end of life, the elderly. But also we know that people with disabilities now are going to qualify for MAID, and 2 years from now, people with mental illnesses. We all feared this in 2016, the slippery slope. People kind of treated that as an unimportant argument, but we see it now. It's very true. And so keep your prayers going for this country. We live in a democracy. We can reform our country if we use our democratic system. We must always keep that in mind. But what are our priorities when we choose our civic leaders? That is the question. Before we go to the questions, I just remembered actually last week I mentioned that I was attending a conference with Dr. Roussin over the telephone conference with religious leaders. And what came from that conference was what I've already mentioned about the classrooms. That was clarified. But also there's a question of masks. If we are sitting with our own family in churches, attending a service, attending Mass, that it was said that the requirement to wear masks is not a strict requirement for members of the family who live together attending Mass. However, I've noticed that almost everybody wears a mask at church, and I think I would want to encourage that. I think people will continue to do so until the virus is mitigated. But that point did come out, and I think it was a little bit of a confusion for some people. But strictly speaking, they're not required if you're sitting with your own family members and you are socially distanced from the rest of the congregation. However, I would still, having said that, encourage the use of masks. Our first question has to do with church teaching. It was phrased this way when we received it in the Archdiocese. It goes like this: can you please speak on Pope Francis's last document concerning same-sex attraction? It is not a document by Pope Francis. It is a explanatory note that was produced, a short note produced by the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, which the Pope approved. The Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith is a congregation in the Catholic Church which deals with doctrinal matters in the Church. And so a question came forward from some section of the Church, I don't know where, that was questioning the Church's ability to bless same-sex couples. The question goes like this: does the Church have the power to give the blessing to unions of persons of the same sex? I found the word power interesting because does the Church have the power to do this? Sometimes we think the Pope can simply change what the Church has always taught just on a whim or because it happens to be the year 2021. This happens in civil law. Just look at MAID. Our moral structure in Canada about homicide has been changed, and now we've given permission in law for some people in certain cases to take the life of another. How did that happen? Because of the philosophy of autonomy, the philosophy that the country can take its own moral laws in the direction it wishes to take based on political decision. The Church doesn't work that way. The Church has no power, of course, to change that which is revealed by Christ or is found in natural law. The Church cannot do that. The Church's purpose and mission is to proclaim the gospel as given and received by Jesus Christ. And so with this particular question, the congregation talks really about sacramentals. That's what it's about, sacramentals. There are sacraments in the Church, 7 sacraments, which are the source of sanctifying grace: baptism, confirmation, reconciliation, marriage is a sacrament, holy orders, etc. These sacraments are signs instituted by Christ to give sanctifying grace, to sanctify us, to make us holy. Sacramentals are of a different nature. Sacramentals are things that are used in the Church, or words in rituals, or actual objects that help us on our Christian journey. A rosary is a sacramental. Blessings are sacramentals. So blessing of a person is one thing, blessing of a relationship is another. And so this is what the congregation said. It said the nature of sacramentals: when a blessing is invoked on particular relationships, in addition to the right intention of those who participate, there must be the right intention of those who participate in a sacramental, which means that one must have the intention of embracing Christ's way of life. Even though we are sinners and we fall, we're trying to follow Christ on that journey through life. The intention must be there. It is necessary, it goes on to say, that what is blessed be objectively and positively ordered to receive and express grace. In other words, the blessing is conferred on a person, on a relationship that is structured in such a way according to that which is revealed by Christ or found in natural law. Natural law is created by God. Creation is created by God. And so these elements are very important when it comes to the use of the Church's blessings. Therefore, only those realities which are in themselves ordered to serve those ends, the intention, and the congruency with the natural law or Christ's revelation, can a blessing be imparted by the Church. For this reason, it is not licit to impart a blessing on relationships or partnerships even though stable, that involves sexual activity outside of marriage. And marriage is defined as revealed by Christ and found in natural law as an indissoluble union of a man and a woman, which is open to the transmission of life between them, as is the case of the unions between persons of the same sex. So in this particular case, unions of the persons of the same sex do not conform to the criteria of sacramentals, as would the union of a man and a woman open to the transmission of life in that way. Therefore, the Church's blessing cannot be given. The Church has no power to change marriage as given to us by God and the natural order. So thank you very much for that question. I hope that is a little helpful. It's a rather deep question, which I tried to explain in a few minutes. So a bit of a challenge, but thank you. The last question is simply this. Can you explain the new ruling saying that the Vatican is restricting masses in St. Peter's Basilica in Rome going forward? As someone who has visited Rome and the Vatican City, one of my highlights was attending Sunday Mass at the side altar in St. Peter's. Do you know why they are doing this? Well, that's a big question because I've been to Rome, of course, many times. The Basilica, St. Peter's Basilica, has 45 independent altars in the Basilica itself. And sometimes you will see people saying private masses in these alcoves, these little private chapels in St. Peter's Basilica. And so by a change of the ruling that individual masses said individually in these altars in the Basilica must now be changed, so that when Mass is offered, it is done co-celebration, con-celebration, it is done communally. This has been the teaching of the Second Vatican Council. It takes a long time in Rome for things to change. I have said private Masses in St. Peter's a number of times in different chapels there. So you might find out of those 45 chapels, half of those chapels each have a different Mass going on at the same time. And at the same time, there could be a communal Mass being said behind the high altar. So Pope Francis is saying that it's a little bit confusing in that way. And so the Second Vatican Council said that Mass should be, with a few reasonable exceptions, a celebration said communally with other persons. And so already there's a number of communal Masses said in St. Peter's Basilica, and so the clergy are invited to join those communal Masses. Underneath the Basilica are private chapels. These chapels are quite separate from one another, and there, private Masses with small groups of people can be said for sure, including those Masses which follow the extraordinary rite in Latin. So I think that's the reason why. It's simply to bring St. Peter's finally up to date in terms of the celebration of the liturgy. Now, some people will find this very disappointing, but there is also the option of going into the grottos to say private Masses in the grottos themselves under St. Peter's Basilica. Well, thank you very much for the question. I didn't quite expect such far-ranging questions this week. But thank you for joining us today, and may God keep you safe, and may you continue to move ahead together as we journey through this pandemic. The Lord be with you, and may God bless you and keep you safe, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.